right. Well, hello, Catherine. It's nice to meet you.
Hi, nice to
All
meet
right.
you too.
Thank you so much for taking time out of your day and out of your schedule to be able to do this interview for 501st Legion for our big celebration and fundraiser.
Yes, well, I can't think of two things more worth celebrating than 501st and Lucasfilm. So
Yeah, it's great.
they're up there pretty high on the list anyway.
Yeah, yeah. So you've been surviving, been keeping good, and having a great time even as the world comes back into normal. So
Yes, I'm one of those people that, like, although it's been strange and there's definitely some downsides, I've been able to find some silver linings too. So
yeah.
in some ways, it's been nice. I definitely am looking forward to just being able to go out to dinner more. I mean,
Mhm.
I can go out to dinner where I am, but
Yeah.
feeling like,
Yeah.
footloose and fancy free about it.
Exactly. It's same, honestly, same. So we talked a little bit before we started about your work in Knights of the Old Republic and other video games, and I just want to ask you, like, how was the transition from being a video game actor, a voice actor, to then being an animated character voice actor? Like, how was that transition for you?
Well, the funny thing is I never intended to be a voiceover actor. I was just being an actor and like
Mhm.
got really lucky and fell kind of into it and just had the right situations line up. And my second audition was for Kodor. So
Mhm.
then I was almost immediately working in Star Wars. And I
Yeah.
always say that, like, I think the reason that I booked Mission Vao was because I was a Star Wars fan and a sci-fi fan. And there's just a certain, when someone doesn't understand that world and it's almost like they just don't get it and it's kind of silly to them, I think you can tell, as
Yeah.
opposed to people who like love that world and love playing in it and can, can imagine being in their, starship cruiser. Um, so I just felt like it was all Star Wars. And honestly, when the other stuff was coming up, I just kept thinking, well, I hope they won't not consider me because I'm this character, you
Mhm.
know. And luckily that didn't happen. And I laughed once with Dara O'Farrell, who is LucasArts and I'd worked with many times, when he brought me in for something else. And he was like, I was like, thanks for having me back. And he said, I know. I was like, can I hire her again for another Star Wars character? And I was like, yes, you can hire me for as many Star Wars characters as exist forever. I'd love to someday be like, one of the females who has the longest list of Star Wars characters. So I
That'd be
just feel
great.
like it was slightly different, methodology, but it's still the Star Wars universe. So it
Yeah.
was pretty the same.
Yeah. So on being a voiceover actress for a very prominent character as Padme, what was that like stepping into a role that had already been done in the live action and the prequels, and now you're in an animated thing? Was there any kind of like intimidation of, are you going to portray the character as it's already done, or did you have direction to put your own spin on it, or did you just go with what felt right?
I definitely think, that there was a lot of pressure. I think that there's pressure in general with the Star Wars world,
Hmm.
because, it means a lot to so many people that you want to get it right. And thankfully, we had Dave Filoni at the helm, and he is, just the perfect person for that. Uh, there was pressure, but I really already loved the character of Padme. And I've
Hmm.
told the story before, but I didn't originally have an audition because I was really new and the casting director didn't know me. My
Hmm.
agent at the time actually called her and said, "You have to see this girl. She is Padme." So I felt like I had a lot of understanding of the character. But Dave was really great also about saying, like, this is your Padme now,
Hmm.
and you get to be her. And we got to experience a lot of scenes and a lot of, situations that didn't occur in the film. So you kind of have to make it your own. And again, luckily, I loved her. I loved what Natalie had done in the films. And so, and again, there's all this stuff online where you can go and read about characters' histories even beyond
Yeah.
the films. So I did a lot of that, and imagined her in her, early Senate debate. And like I was on the mock UN in my schooling too, so I felt like we had a
That's
lot in
great.
common.
Nice. That fits perfectly. And then you were, after Clone Wars had kind of ended in between the final season and the main season ending, you were asked to read for the Eek Joneston books.
Yes. Yeah.
Which is a trip, by the way, to listen to them being voiced. It's like, oh, it's Padme. Cool. Awesome.
That was really crazy because Padme means so much to me that I was like, I was so grateful that they asked me. But I was also like, what are these books going to say about her? How are they going to portray her? Am I going to like it? Am I going to think it's true to the character? And then to meet Ek and know how much she loves the character, and then to see the things that she filled out for us, like just the idea that she took these costumes and these hair changes that some people dismissed as being like, overly girly or whatever, and made them functional and gave them a purpose that was so cool. Like I just loved everything about it. And I remember when I read just the intro of what's the first one? Queen's Shadow. Queen's Peril is the one I just did.
Yeah, Queen's Shadow.
Yes. The first one, the one with the red cover. I remember just reading the intro and like I was crying, like literally. And I'm not a big crier. So I was like, okay, this is gonna be safe and fine. And yeah, it was really fun and an honor. And again, one of those things where I'll often think, well, maybe that was the last time I get to play Padme, and then something else comes up and I'm like, yes.
Yeah, they were really great books too. I picked up a copy at Celebration Chicago and then read it on the plane home. So
it was hard to get at Celebration Chicago.
Yeah,
like they kept selling out of it. So
I was lucky to get a lottery slot to have it like signed.
That's
and
awesome.
So it was fantastic. So between Clone Wars and even the books, like what is your favorite scene as Padme?
Oh boy.
or a few if it makes it easier.
There's something, and I always say there's something about very early Clone Wars with the Malevolence arc, where there's just some really quick banter between Anakin and Padme that's so just cute, like, and I loved it, and like it was just that really fun Star Wars feel, and it was romantic and quippy, and kind of also has that Indiana Jones sort of fast-paced feel to it. So I love that. And then I love the I can't even remember what it's called right now, the arc where we basically kind of almost break up and it's really dark with Clovis. It might be called the Clovis arc, actually.
I think it's been dubbed Clovis arc.
Yeah. And I hated it in a way. And I remember going in and being like with Dave, like, what are you doing? They can't break up, as if he didn't
like,
know.
It can't happen. Yeah, right.
As if he didn't know Star Wars, but he was, he was reassuring, and just Dave always wanted their relationship to feel like something that people who were in actual marriages could be like, they could understand and say, yeah, it's not ever perfect. You can really, really love someone, but you still have these issues that can feel quite big. And I just loved that one because I felt like the writing was so good, and ultimately the animation and seeing it all put together, it didn't even feel like a cartoon anymore. It just felt like great film.
So when you are recording for the shows or for the books, how much do you actually get to see? Like, are you just given a script, or are you given like a rough animation if it's for the Clone Wars, or is it almost into final stages? And then for the book, like how far in advance do you get like the book to be able to like read it and then be able to just do the audiobooks for it?
For the animation, usually there's nothing, there's not much done. When we were, whenever we worked on Clone Wars, though, Dave would sort of almost start it with like a meeting, like you could imagine it like a sports sort of game, a sports game, a game where, like, you know, before it's sort of that team meeting and here's what's happening, and would lay it out. And again, if you were a person who had an understanding of Star Wars, it was really helpful, because he might be like, you know, the time that Han and Leia are doing, you know, and you'd be like, yeah. So that was the way that we would approach that. And it was just kind of fun. The book is, again, it's an individual thing. So I get it ahead of time. In this instance, with enough time to read it several times. And when I'm doing a Star Wars book, whenever I'm doing any audiobook, I sort of like to cast the book and create an image of either actors or just random photos of people that I find on the internet that I think look like that character. So for Star Wars, it's interesting, because I go get actual images of actual characters if they exist. I try to listen to a clip of their voice if they've actually spoken. And then if they don't exist, I'll find a picture or something that makes me think of it. So the Star Wars book is definitely more in depth. And when I approach those, I really want to try to be as authentic as I can to the voices. So there's definitely more work. So thankfully I do get it enough ahead of time, and have some time to try to get my impressions, as sad as they might be in some cases, down.
No spoil. I mean, the book's been out for a while, but like, no spoilers. But oh man, there's some scenes in those where I was like, ow, okay, my heart.
Yeah. And I mean, I love that aspect of it. I would say the hardest part is doing voices of other people that I know as actors, and not wanting it to sound like I'm mocking them.
Yeah, that's always.
But I always joke with everyone about my Palpatine with the producer of the book. I'm always like, you know, next time there's just a full Palpatine book, you should just hire me, because obviously my Palpatine is spot on.
Yeah.
I have that resonance naturally.
It is always interesting. Yeah. That was interesting. I was listening, I was like, okay. All right. There are times when like people will listen to audiobooks that, like, you know, females doing masculine voices or feminine voices, they can always sound like a little weird, and you're just like, all right. And then that came out, I was like, okay. Hello. It was amazing reading.
Thank you.
Did you learn anything from the characters that you have portrayed, like either about yourself, or even, you know, a better understanding of them as a whole, like character in their own, from each different role that you've done for Star Wars?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've been really lucky in that I've loved the characters that I've played. Like, I love Mission because she is just spunky and not afraid, and has that like courage of youth to do what's right. You know, she hasn't been beaten down by the world yet, which is surprising. I love that about her. And I just think, again, that's always a nice reminder, just like, you know, have some courage. You know, it's worth it. It's worth it to have courage and do what you think is right. And with Padme, like I just, it's kind of the same thing, actually. It's this theme of integrity and doing what you think is right, even when it's scary. That was one of the things I loved about Queen's Peril, was just this idea that it showed her right before her first big speech, and what she's thinking, you know, and that she wasn't even meant to be giving that speech. And then suddenly she's thrust into it, and it's sort of like, okay, we're doing this.
All right, what do we do?
And just having grace under fire, but still having the courage to step forward for what you think is right. And I always like to, you know, I think those are great reminders for all of us. And definitely it is pretty easy for me to draw on some of the characters that I've played for, like, what would Padme do here?
So do you ever find yourself, like with like books and other Star Wars media in particular, do you find yourself like gravitating more towards one where like Mission or Padme are portrayed in, or do you just love all of Star Wars in general?
I love Star Wars in general. I do love the characters from the original trilogy the most. I mean, I'll say, like, honestly, for me, you could really never have enough Han, Leia, Luke.
Mhm.
Yoda is my favorite. Like I just love Yoda. How can you not?
Mhm.
And again,
Yeah.
if I could have anyone in my life from the Star Wars universe, it would be Yoda.
Yeah. Nice wise old sage to give you advice.
Yes.
It
Yes.
kind of leaves you a tiny bit confused.
But also, you know, keeping you living up to your own potential.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
So what is your favorite memory from working with the Clone Wars cast?
oh boy, that one is really hard because anyone who follows me on social media or anything would know that I've stayed friends with my cast. I mean, James Arnold Taylor,
Oh God, he's awesome.
Matt Lanter, Ashley Eckstein, D. Bradley Baker. These people are like actually my family. And so I just love them. And there's several memories specifically with them. I'll never forget getting to do the USO event with them because the USO is something that's really important to me. And so to get a chance to go with them and entertain on behalf of the USO was like one of the coolest experiences of my life. There was one time when we were at a Star Wars celebration. I can't remember which number it was, but we were in Orlando and we were just walking down this long hotel hallway trying to find maybe the 501st party actually. And it was just us together and it felt like this really weird, surreal, like, here we are, Padme, Obi-Wan, Anakin, and we're just walking down the hallway with our tall Yoda. And just memories like that were just fantastic. And then I can also not leave out the times that we got to spend at Skywalker Ranch together because, I mean, to get to go to Skywalker Ranch is just amazing. And again, a blessing that I will never get over. Like, I've gotten to go several times and it will forever just be some of my favorite memories. But to be like in the kitchen at Skywalker Ranch making pasta with Dee and James. Actually, they were making pasta. I was having a glass of wine.
You know, that's
like
fair.
it really doesn't get any better than that. So
that's somebody, if somebody doesn't draw like a little comic of like what Rex and Obi-Wan cooking and Padme's just having a glass of wine, I'm gonna be very disappointed in this fandom as a whole.
Yes,
artists, you know who you are, get on it. And then finally, my last question, a little background, I am a costume maker. So if you could have any one Padme outfit, what would it be?
You know, I have that book, Dressing a Galaxy. And
I want that so bad.
I like periodically just take it out and look at it. And it's funny, one of my nieces, whenever she comes to visit, because it's up high on a shelf with actually some Skywalker wine next to it. She's always like, can I look at the book? And so we look at it. And, I mean, it is so hard because her outfits are spectacular. But I think the light blue outfit, and I don't even remember what it's called. You probably know what it's called. It's really pale blue. And it's got, you know, like the
midriff top.
Yes. What is that one called? I know I should know this.
I can't remember.
Okay, good. You don't know either. I know them.
There's so many of them, and I know exactly. It's like has that kind of crisscrossy one. I know exactly which one you're talking about. I just can't remember. I think it's just like blue midriff or something.
Good.
Let's just call it that, and a bunch of people will be like, "Oh yeah,
I know." We're gonna like totally. There's gonna be people watching this screaming.
They're gonna
the name of it. Like, forgive us.
Sorry, I can already hear the comments.
There's so many great and beautiful outfits that I would actually take pretty much all of them. And I really actually love some of her outfits from the Clone Wars. You know, the adventure tights outfit. I just, you know, I could just wear that tomorrow, but that light blue one, because that blue color is my favorite. It's just stunning. So someday.
Someday. Well, that's about all I have. I thank you again so much for taking time out of our day and out of your day and out of your schedule to be able to do this interview for our big celebration, 1138 for 501st Legion, and hopefully this helps us raise some money for First Robotics.
Yes, which looks like such a great
It's a lot of fun.
organization. It just looks like so much fun. Like I was looking at it and I was like, I wish I could have been a part of something like that. But yeah, thank you guys for what you're doing. And obviously any of us who have had the opportunity to work in the Star Wars universe have also had the opportunity to meet 501st members from across the world, and you guys make it happen. I mean, you really, really do. From a small event I did at a library in my hometown to the premiere for The Force Unleashed. It's like, I mean, The Force Awakens. So many forces.
There's so many. Yeah.
It's just, it's cool. It's so cool, and it brings people together in such a great way, of all ages and from all over the world. So thank you guys for what you do for us and for the universe, and happy anniversary to Lucasfilm.
I can't believe it's been this long.
I know. I was trying to calculate how long I've been working in it, and I'm like, I'm just going to stop doing this math. We're just going to say to many more.
To many, many more years. So yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much again.
Thank you. May the force be with you all, and stay on the light side.